I'm Ellis Martin. Join me now for a conversation with Claudia Tornquist, President and CEO of Kodiak Copper Corporation, trading as KDK on the TSX Venture Exchange, KDKCF in the U.S., and 5DD1 in Frankfurt. Kodiak Copper's most advanced asset is the MPD copper-gold porphyry project in the prolific Quesnel Trough in southern British Columbia, Canada, where in 2020 the company made a high-grade discovery at the Gate Zone, which is part of a zone copper-gold enriched envelope of significant size. Kodiak also holds the Mohave copper-molybdenum-silver porphyry project in Arizona, near the world-class Bagdad mine. Both of Kodiak's porphyry projects have been historically drilled and present known mineral discoveries with the potential to hold large-scale deposits. The company's chairman is Chris Taylor, the CEO of sister company, prolific in the gold space, Great Bear Resources. Ms. Tornquist is formerly general manager at Rio Tinto, working with their copper and diamond operations. She also held the position of executive vice president of business development for the streaming company Sandstorm Gold. She's a director of Silver One Resources and former director of Kennedy Diamonds, leading the $176 million sale of the company to Mountain Province. Claudia, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, Ellis.
Well, one of the things I'm most intrigued about Kodiak is the fact that you've got about 147 square kilometers at your MPD property. That's quite a land package. And I guess for a long time it sat individually with 4 different properties, and that's probably why nothing ever happened with it. Could you go into some detail about how this is happening recently and who put together this package and why has it been underexploited?
Well, the MPD project has been put together from 4 previously explored properties. All those properties were explored for decades, since the 60s, always on smaller land packages and at a variety of different times by different companies. And we were, for the first time, able to consolidate the package and put in place a comprehensive exploration program. And that's important because porphyry systems, by definition, porphyries are large systems, and to be able to look at the entire picture makes all the difference. So we were able to acquire this land package that the prospector had put together at a very reasonable cost in 2019 and have since worked it and were able to make a high-grade discovery.
I understand that out of about 400 drill holes, you've tested or retested, and correct me if I'm wrong, about 100 holes, and they all show mineralization at MPD. Am I right?
Well, in the past, there were in total 400 holes drilled, 50,000 meters roundabout, all very shallow drilling. And our first little maiden drill program with 3 holes only. We had a discovery hole. We drilled down to 800 meters, made a discovery, and we then drilled 9 holes last year and made a high-grade discovery, which was the real game changer. And now this year we have put in place a big drill program of over 20,000 meters, which we have just completed, and we have drilled just under 40 holes. And the high-grade discovery that really changed the game was the Gate Zone that we announced just over a year ago. And this year's drilling was primarily to extend the Gate Zone, which now starts to have some real nice size. It's almost 1 kilometer in length, and we've drilled high-grade mineralization down to 800 meters across 350 meters. So if you can picture that, that's already quite some size. And obviously lots more to come. We're only at the start. Next year we'll have a similarly sized large drill program going on to continue.
One of the things that's significant about the Gate Zone is, from what I understand, you have about 3 times the grade of some of the mines that are in production in the area.
That's correct. And that's a really important point to highlight. Porphyry systems are typically a large amount of lower grade mineralization with 1 or several porphyry centers interspersed that are typically higher grade. And often those higher grade centers are very important for the eventual economics of the mine. And when we acquired the property, there was lots of low-grade mineralization there that previous explorers had drilled historically, but nobody had found a high-grade center. And that's what we did with the Gate Zone discovery. And that really changed the game, because all of a sudden, all this large volume of lower grade mineralization that we already have is becoming a lot more attractive.
One of the smartest people in the business, and I think you'll agree, is your chairman, Chris Taylor, who I met with Great Bear Resources. We've interviewed him several times. And I would have to think with a company like that that's performed very well at a share price of around $20 Canadian, 15 US as we speak, that a sister company that he chairs under your direction, Kodiak Copper, has to be something worth looking at. And I think that's one of the reasons that makes your company more significant than many other copper companies in the space.
Yes, that's right. And I would say Chris is certainly a very, very important part of our success. He's the very creative, out-of-the-box thinking geologist. That's what made Great Bear a success. He took a project that lots of other people had looked at, didn't see anything in it. Chris interpreted it in a different way, took a different approach, and the rest is history. Great Bear is now a $1 billion market cap company, and Kodiak is very much of a similar story. MPD has been explored many times in the past. Most of the exploration was very shallow. Chris looked at the project when we considered acquiring it. His interpretation was this is a big system, and his thesis was that the higher grade mineralization was deeper. So we drilled deeper and found success. So it's very much Chris's creative thinking and out-of-the-box thinking that is behind our success. And Chris very much leads our technical work. He's really a fantastic geologist.
And you have some major investors, don't you?
Well, we have Tech Resources as our largest shareholder. They invested $8 million more than a year ago on the back of our initial high-grade discovery. That, of course, was seen as a big vote of confidence, very well received in the market, because Tech is a large company. The fact that they invest $8 million, which is quite a significant sum, that shows that they believe that MPD has the potential to be big, because big companies, they are not interested in a small project. And so, it was obviously fantastic to get them in as a partner. And they've been a really supportive and great partner since we've been working with them.
And this is not a greenfield project at all. It's in an area in southern BC, which is quite active in the mining space. There are several mines in the area. And one of the things that, again, that I like to see as an investor is a company that is closer to production than just moose pasture. And there are so many companies in the mining space, I think you'll agree, that are just really completely based on speculation and may never be mined.
Yeah, that's certainly the case. One of the things we really liked about MPD was that it had already a lot of drill-proven gold and copper and was not greenfields. And of course, the other aspect that was a big reason why we acquired this project is just its location, because we are, as you said, in an established mining district. We have a big copper gold mine north and south of us, and the towns around us are mining towns. There is all the infrastructure you could wish for. We are right off the highway. There's a big transmission line right over the property, local workforce, local services, everything local. That's obviously a big difference maker. Also, just thinking of the eventual economics of a future mine.
And there's a video on the homepage of your website really showing the infrastructure there and the wonderful roads that you have. The ease to the property is really amazing. So you're not really dealing with too many issues. I'd like to discuss the supply chain issues here with copper that are very, very significant. We have both an organic and a forced electrification of the planet right now so that we can keep it clean. And copper plays a big role in anything electric, whether it's electric cars, whether it's phones, whether it's your television. As we move into the future, copper is a very important resource. And yes, there's copper in the world, but not all of it is as accessible as it needs to be. And not all of it will be available for production in time for the demand. So this creates a nice, interesting bonus for potential investors in the space.
Yes, I think you put that well. There is big demand for copper and other metals on the horizon from electrification, green energy, etc. What's particularly striking for copper is the supply situation, because the supply pipeline of projects that are under development is at an all-time low. So big demand, but not many projects there to become mines and fill that demand. And it's simply a function of 10 years or more of weak commodity prices, little exploration, and so not much copper was discovered. And copper mines, the majority of them are large mines, so they take a long time to build and then produce for decades, which also means what's not discovered now won't be there to produce in 10 years' time. So that's certainly interesting dynamics. And I personally have no doubt that we will see a period of elevated copper prices in the medium and long term.
You are no stranger to copper at all. You were a former general manager at Rio Tinto for over 10 years. What brought someone of, if you don't mind me asking this question, what brings someone of your caliber to a junior mining company, and especially this one?
Well, I worked for Rio Tinto, large company, for 10 years and also for their copper group, and worked on some of the largest copper projects like Escondida in Chile, the largest copper mine of all of them, and Oyu Tolgoi, large copper mine in Mongolia. And after 10 years, I just wanted to make the switch into the junior sector and did so and looked for the right opportunity. And then really when I met Chris Taylor back in 2015, I really liked what he did. I liked Chris. And so actually it's an interesting story. I initially became an investor in Kodiak when Chris was just setting up the company and raising the initial funds. And I then later became a director. And then, again, later took on the executive role as president and CEO.
It's all about relationships in our business, isn't it? You really can't do business with people that you don't get along with, that you're not compatible with intellectually, and where there's not some sort of mutual benefit that is, in fact, transactional.
Yeah. That's very well put. And I very much appreciate working with Chris. As I said, I think he's a very smart and very creative, out-of-the-box thinking geologist. And his skill set, more the technical side, and mine, which is more the business and financial side, they're very complementary. So we work together very well.
Explain to me, you will, the dynamic of somebody with your particular background, which is very, very strong in business administration, business operations, acquisitions, growing the company. What are you going to be doing specifically during the next few years to bring Kodiak forward?
Our first aim is to add value at the drill bit. The way we can generate more value for our shareholders is by drilling more high-grade mineralization, by drilling more mineralization in general, by growing both the high-grade portion of the mineralization at MPD and also the larger envelope. And that's certainly what our shareholders expect from us and where we will generate the next set of catalysts and really grow the value of the MPD project. What's important there as well is that MPD, we not only have the gate zone, that's only one of the historically drilled porphyry centers, but we also have several other porphyry centers that have been historically drilled that are new targets or additional targets where we will essentially use the same approach of what we successfully did at Gate and then explore those as well. So there's a lot more exploration to be done, a lot more discovery potential at the MPD project that we will be unlocking.
Well, I think you're referring to the Mohave project in Arizona, which is a very, very friendly mining state here in the U.S., aren't you?
Mohave, that's also a very interesting project. That is our second project that we have been working away in the background. It is very much of a similar story to MPD. It's a historically explored project. There's a lot of smoke, a lot of historic, interesting results, but nobody has really figured out the system yet. And for Mohave, we also have a small drill program planned for next year and aiming to do what we did at MPD and drill it and unlock the discovery potential.
For listeners joining your story for the first time, give us an overview of the share structure of the company, please.
We are a very tightly held company. We have only 49 million shares outstanding. Many of our shareholders really like that. We have as our largest shareholder Tech Resources with 8.5% of the share capital. Management owns just under 10% and the rest is mostly retail.
How are you capitalized moving forward for all the work that you need to do at the Gate Zone and also the Mohave project?
But we have a cash balance of approximately $10 million, which funds all of this year's work and well into next year. So we're under no pressure to raise finance, which is certainly a good place to be. And so we will be in the new year motoring ahead with a large drill program at MPD and later in the year, a small maiden program at Mohave. So lots of news, lots of results to come from our end.
Claudia, it's been a real pleasure chatting with you today. I look forward to more conversations in the future, hopefully someday in person. Thank you so much for joining me today in the program.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I've been speaking with Claudia Tornquist, President and CEO of Kodiak Copper Corporation, trading as KDK on the TSX Venture Exchange, KDKCF in the U.S., and 5DD1 in Frankfurt. Find the complete story on the company's website, KodiakCopperCorp.com. I'm Ellis Martin.